Hello, my name is Teresa Skelton and I'm a candidate for the Justice and Anti-Corruption Party. I'm also the secretary to the Hampshire Police Monitoring Group. Now I'm making a small documentary and it will be divided up into 3 parts. Part A is my response to Eastleigh News regarding Simon Hayes, the ex-Police and Crime Commissioner for Hampshire. Part B is about Olivia Pinkney, the current Chief Constable of Hampshire. And Part C will be describing the Hampshire Police and Crime Panel and all its associates. In 2004, I was convicted of a minor offence under the Public Order Act. There was an exchange of words between myself and another lady, arising from her using obscene language against my husband when we were out shopping. This lady claimed to have felt harassed and went to the police. The police were never on the scene and I never heard from them at all until they turned up on my doorstep over 6 weeks later. From the paperwork, I could see that they had not conducted an honest investigation and put in an official complaint. Just how dishonest, I only found out after I was convicted. It was only then that Hampshire Police finally went through the motions of dealing with my complaint. When I showed this document to Professional Standards Department officer Rex Carpenter as we met in Winchester Police Station, he lost his cool and almost assaulted me before ordering me out with my nerves shattered. It is a memorandum under the name of a very senior officer, Deputy Chief Constable of Hampshire, Ian Redhead, addressed to the CPS. It completely misstates my complaint. It makes out that I am complaining about having been mistreated in custody after being arrested. I was never arrested and never in custody. The document only reached me after my trial. It was sent anonymously. Its falsehoods had been thrown at me under cross-examination in court, confusing my responses, where I was obviously being quizzed about a situation I had never been in. It looks as if the police had passed this mendacious falsification to the CPS to make me look bad and encourage them to prosecute in the first place. Another tainted document was a statement from one Ian Robert Green, who claimed to have witnessed the original incident. In fact, this man had never been on the scene. Neither before nor since have I ever knowingly met him. He never turned up to be questioned in court. The unsigned statement of this phantom witness was full of malicious-sounding claims about what had happened. Only in 2016, after 12 years, did an honest police officer take the trouble to discuss matters with me. Mr. Paul Martin studied all the witness statements in the case and agreed that Mr. Green's statement was completely at odds with both mine and the complainants against me. This was the subject matter leading to my complaint against Hampshire Police and Crime Commissioner Simon Hayes in February 2015, which was made to his regulating body, the Police and Crime Panel. I had reported to Mr. Hayes the inaction of then Chief Constable Andy Marsh, to whose attention I had drawn what was certainly criminal misconduct in the force. Mr. Hayes had ignored me. The PCP's complaint subcommittee in its turn refused to act and would not tell me why. Instead, they just blackballed me, placing a supposed ban on my attendance at their January 2016 meeting in the Castle, Winchester. I still went along to this meeting. I didn't think any such ban from a public meeting without valid reason to be lawful. It was here that I was intimidated and assaulted by council employee and former pub bouncer Darren Zammit and PCSO Lawrence Day, abducted without lawful arrest to custody by police officers, held in solitary confinement for 21 hours, then falsely charged, tried and convicted of assault on the PCSO on the basis of perjury. On the MG5 form, it says non-key evidence, and at the bottom you've got the name Chloe Hannah, person reporting and staff member at the council offices. This is Chloe Hannah. Let's listen to what she's reporting.
Hello, police emergency.
Oh, hello. I'm calling from Hampshire County Council in Winchester.
Hello.
Hello. Is it all right to get the police here as quick as possible?
Yeah, what's happening?
We've got a lady that's got in round to our hall. She's quite violent and we need the police here.
Right, okay. So what's she actually doing then?
Do you know what issues causing her? She is threatening physical violence and yeah. She's threatening with physical violence and she has a known history. She's meant to be banned from this meeting she's got round into.
And what's her name?
It's Teresa Skelton.
Walking out of Ashburton Hall, past the two double doors, the chair where Zamet said I kicked Day, walking into the area called the street. Chloe's words are quite defamatory. Nobody has ever claimed that I threatened violence in the hall. I have no history at all of any such behaviour at any meetings. It's obvious that Chloe is not a witness to anything. She's just been prompted by somebody in the background and told what to say. This is the reception area where Chloe was sitting. Nowhere near the meeting room, let alone inside it. This is the reception desk where Chloe was sitting. As for the ban, I'll come back to that later on. This goes to show how, when they're out to get you, corrupt officials won't hesitate to implicate even their most junior staff in their lies. This is Darren Zamet's 5-page statement. It says, this statement consisting of 5 pages, each signed by me, is true to the best of my knowledge and belief, and I make it knowing that if it is tendered in evidence, I shall be liable to prosecution if I have wilfully stated in it anything which I know to be false or do not believe to be true. This is his signature at the bottom. He signed all the pages in this statement. This is page 4 of Darren Zamet's statement. Talking about me, he said, it was now becoming very physical. She was resisting the PCSO and swinging him around quite a lot. Something like this, perhaps. I'm a 9-stone woman. The PCSO was a 13-stone man. He then went on to say in the same paragraph, I placed my hands on her shoulders to guide her into the seat. So he seemed suddenly to have got police powers from somewhere. This is Councillor Jan Warwick. She is the lady with whom I was quietly conversing when a PCSO suddenly seized me from behind. When this happened, she reacted by turning her back and sitting down. See no evil. Councillor Warwick could have made a simple statement describing what had happened in front of her eyes when the PCSO assaulted me out of the blue. This would have given the lie to his claims and stopped the malicious prosecution against myself. But no. In spite of being asked to do this, she chose to keep her head down and shut her trap. Perhaps she stayed silent because she simply hadn't the moral guts to go against the like of Councillor Dave Stewart, chairman of the Hampshire Police and Crime Panel, on which they both sit, and the Chief Constable. Here she is, squeezed between the two of them, evidently a type of pressure she hasn't got what it takes to stand up to. Next witness on the list is Lisa Hole. Here she is. Who are you then?
I'm, as I said, I'm Lisa Hole. I'm the facilities manager here.
Oh, now, while we're here,
I do need to see this.
FM Security, is that a private company or is
No,
it a
facilities
council?
management is part of Hampshire County Council.
I see.
So, to confirm what Lisa said, I rang Hampshire County Council and spoke to Victoria Johnson, Office Access Control. She told me that FM Security's role is to switch on the lights, unlock doors, lay out the chairs, etc. Nowhere was there any hint that their personnel were goons whose job it is to bully people who ask inconvenient questions at public meetings.
Well, all I can ask is if you do come in, if you could sign in and
Yes,
just let
yes,
us
and
know
no,
you're in
now that
rather
we-
than just come in because
Yeah.
I see,
you know we
yes.
take security seriously and I'm told
Yes,
there's two people
so-
in sat in one of the meeting rooms, and so that's why I was asked to come down and have a look.
Yeah, you see, although you say you take security thing, I'm not banned from the meeting, and legally I wasn't banned that day.
Well,
you see, that was the
that's-
thing.
That's not something.
Yeah,
I-
no,
that's-
we're not. No, but you
that's-
said you take security seriously. You know, if you're not banned from a meeting and you're there to ask a question on transparency, that shouldn't have upset anybody that day, should it?
It shouldn't have done so.
No, but it did though. Here she is, back in January 2016, taking a furtive peek as the police load me into their van. Her FM squad had just helped them seize me from the public meeting I was referring to in our conversation. So, what were these alarming questions not to be put at a public meeting of the body supposed to deal with the issues they raised? The issue is transparency. 1. In the event of a complaint against the Constabulary being transmitted to the IPCC, how can a complainant find out what the police and the IPCC are saying to each other? And 2, in the event of a complaint against Constabulary, Simon Hayes, being submitted to the Police and Crime Panel, how can a complainant find out about the panel's deliberations or obtain its minutes? I observed all the rules. I put my questions in on time. I even told them I was coming. This is the reply I got from the legal advisor to the PCP, Michael Lawther. As I have reasonable grounds to believe that you are likely to conduct yourself in a disorderly manner that will disrupt the smooth transaction of business in an orderly and timely fashion, the chairman has resolved to take the step of issuing a direction that you be excluded from attending this meeting in person. When it came to my alleged troublemaking, I found out there was some tittle-tattle during 2015. Councillor David Stewart said in his latest statement, and he had been given anecdotal evidence from the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner, that would be Simon Hayes, the invited guest, and local MP, that would be Steve Brine, who, may I say, has absolutely nothing to do with the Hampshire Police and Crime Panel. Well, isn't that a bit of backbiting? So, I was banned on confused and malicious gossip. I doubt if they could do this lawfully. Here's the Act of Parliament that throws local council meetings of all kinds open to the public. Nobody can be kept out without good grounds. And they never provided any against me.
Shouldn't have done so.
No, but it did though. So, is this how they make their decisions? Now, here's the source of the problem. PCC at the time, Simon Hayes. For 18 months, from June 2014 to January 2016, I never got any reply to a single letter I sent him. I was drawing his attention to serious misconduct in Hampshire Police. Just look at this. There is no substance to the allegation that I have failed to act. In fact, I believe I have gone above and beyond what other individuals and organisations would have entertained in terms of her contact. So, the poor lamb is some sort of martyr because I have written to him asking him to do his duty. He then goes on to say, I have, however, reached the point where I consider her to be a persistent and vexatious complainant, and I will no longer be responding to any correspondence from her. Who knows? Perhaps he was just too busy elsewhere. It looks as if Bob Perkins was the leader of the gang when it came to handling matters. No chairman of the PCP Complaint Subcommittee in February 2015 was ever named, but everybody seemed just to go along with Bob, a co-opted panel member. Bob said that Mr. Hayes had done all that was required of him. In fact, nothing. This is Councillor Gough Beck. Councillor Beck's reply was, I am in total agreement with Bob's views and feel Simon Hayes has acknowledged and replied to the allegations tabled by Miss Skelton. Here is Councillor Keith Dibble. Councillor Dibble's reply, thanks for your mail, and I agree with Bob's comments. Here is Councillor Ken Carter. And finally, this is Councillor Ken Muschamp. To be fair to the two Kens, they were the only members of the PCP Complaint Subcommittee to recognise at all that I was raising a serious issue. Ken Carter says in his email, I remained concerned that there are some areas of this complainant's case which may be appropriate for investigation. He then goes on to say, whatever the outcome, I feel this one is not going to rest until a permanent solution is found. Ken Muschamp says in his email, does the alleged false record result in a criminal record for Mrs. Skelton, and is that the nub of her complaints? If the documents stating arrest etc. are proved to be false or can be shown to be false, and a criminal record results for Mrs. Skelton as a result of such falsity, then I'd say we should consider them. Right on, Ken. Trouble is that neither gentleman followed through. Within 18 minutes of giving this opinion, Ken Muschamp fell in line with Bob Perkins, as did Ken Carter, even though both had the paperwork proving my point. Usual standards of police accuracy, the MG5 states the chairman of the PCP meeting in 2016 was Simon Hayes. In fact, it was Councillor Dave Stewart from the Isle of Wight.
The other thing, for the benefit of people that don't know, I chair a group called the Police and Crime Panel, which scrutinises the Police and Crime Commissioner.
As for all the emails, it took just over 2 years for me to get them. In early 2017, Hampshire County Council ambushed me out of the blue, a full year after my last contact with the Police and Crime Panel. They suddenly sought an ASBO against me. Leading the charge was none other than PCP Chairman Dave Stewart. Along with one or two associates, he produced a witness statement to support the ASBO application. Well, it certainly was an ambush. I only got the papers served on me a few days before the first court hearing, one of several as it turned out. They thought they could slap an ASBO on me just like that. They were wrong. I was prepared. The judge didn't play their game. He sent us all off to consider our positions. The only witness who showed up for this was Council Admin Officer Katie Benton. After this hearing, she sloped off, looking as sick as a parrot. She might well do. She must have known that she might now have to face serious cross-examination about her statement against me. This was full of malicious misrepresentations. Her boss, Dave Stewart's statement was of similar quality. In brief, they tried to portray me as a monster of violence from whom councillors and their staff needed special protection. It was imperative that I should be banned even from setting foot on their premises if their safety was to be guaranteed. In fact, all I'd ever done was follow their advice by putting my complaints in writing. A third statement came from Executive Advisor to the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner, Richard Andrews. In early January 2017, I dropped round to deliver some papers. I pressed the doorbell and was let in. Richard signed my documents and off I went. No drama at all. In his statement against me, Richard described me in most sinister sounding words as having tried to gain access to the office when I was barred. You'd think I'd broken the door down. In the run-up to the PCC election, Richard described how officials like himself handle complaints against the Chief Constable. The PCC leaves it to them because they are trained and experienced and have knowledge of the legislation. There is one piece of legislation he didn't seem to have knowledge of when I asked him about it a while back. Specifically, is there any legislation that allows police officers to falsify the content of public complaints against them, the way they did mine? Richard's email stated, "I do not know the answer to your question. I am not aware of any such legislation myself, but I cannot say with any certainty that legislation does not exist." How shocking! No knowledge or expertise there. The one thing of real importance that came out of all this was final disclosure for court of the truth about the PCP Complaints Committee meeting of February 2015. There had never been any minutes because there had never been any meeting, only the exchange of emails between committee members. All this should have been published to me according to the spirit and letter of Information Commissioner's requirements. Nevertheless, Councillor Stewart said in his statement against me that he was satisfied that the correct process had been followed. Openness not needed, 2 fingers to me. It's enough to say that ASBO action failed. My good name was intact at the end of it. It was brought on taxpayers' money to the tune of up to £70,000, all to protect the backsides of corrupt people in senior positions.